Today is Training Tuesday. I think we decided that Tuesday was going to be the ongoing training day. It is Justin Stark and Rob's birthday.
Happy birthday.
Normally what I do for people on their birthdays is break their balls about how many apps they're running. It's just a common thing. But we're going to sing happy birthday now. But we're going to sing it really monotone because they didn't run a lot of apps last week.
Happy birthday.
Next year they'll do better and we'll sing it happy. So y'all have that to look forward to for 365 days. Okay? Happy birthday to you.
It's like a quartet.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Robin Starr. Happy birthday to you. See? That's what you got. That's what you guys get.
That's what you get. What's those monsters on the Trolls movie?
Virgins?
Yeah, virgins.
Virgins.
That's what that reminded me of.
Yeah, we were virgins. See, next year we'll be trolls. I'll be like, it's happy birthday! You were so nice! You did so good! This is for your ass! Something like that, you know. But I'll be like a pop troll. Alright, let's do some more role playing. You guys want to do role playing? That was fun.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, I'm going to start with some other people. I'm going to do Nolan.
Shit.
Alright. And I'm going to turn around so you can't see me.
Alright.
You can't feed off my facial expressions. Okay. My name is Barbie Bursitis.
Alright.
And I'm a telemarketed lead and you're calling me. Ring, ring. Hello?
Hey, is this Barbie?
Yes?
Hey Barbie, how you doing? My name's Nolan. I'm calling from Bobby Brock Insurance. I got your lead through Facebook and I was just calling to touch base to see if I could help you with your Medicare coverage.
What's a lead? I don't have a Facebook.
Shoot.
Tip number one, avoid technical jargon.
Alright.
And remember the lead source. Telemarketing.
Okay.
The purpose of the call on telemarketing was to try to find people who are overpaying for their Medicare supplement. So that's the lead. Okay, so hello?
Hey Barbie, this is Nolan from Bobby Brock Insurance. How you doing today?
Great, how are you?
I'm doing well. I see that earlier today you were speaking with one of our people in the office about your Medicare supplement. Do you remember doing that?
No.
Alright, well.
And this is why we role play. Alright, man. Okay, so let's see. Let me try it with Steven real quick. Let's just see. Let's see. Okay. Barbie Bursitis.
Barbie Bursitis.
And let's see. Let's compare what Steven did to Nolan. It does to Nolan, and then we'll try to make some critiques. Okay. Ring, ring. Hello.
Hey Barbie, this is Steven with Bobby Brock Insurance. How you doing today?
Good.
Hey, I was just calling to help you with your Medicare supplement. I see that you're overpaying with it, and I'm helping people save some money on their supplements. About how much are you paying for yours?
I don't know. It just keeps going up.
Okay. Do you know about if it's over 150, 200, about how much it is?
Oh, it's not 200, but I think it's, last I checked, and it's been a couple months since I looked, I should pay better attention to my accounts, but probably 160 a month.
Okay. Well, do you know about how long you've had this supplement? Has it been more than 5 years?
I don't know. It's been at least 2 or 3.
Okay. Well, usually at the 3 to 4 year mark, it's time to change, so you're probably a perfect candidate to save some money. I would like to ask you some health questions to see if you qualify. How's your health been over the last 5 years?
Well, you know, it's okay, but I mean, where are you calling from again?
I'm calling from Bobby Brock Insurance in Tupelo.
And how did you get my number?
You spoke to a young lady on the phone that asked you about meeting with the Medicare supplement specialist and saving some money, and that would be me.
All right. So I think Steven's doing a little bit better, but I think with like telemarketed leads, if you're or Facebook leads or anything like that, on the phone call, the best thing to do is try to build rapport early on by just being really, really pleasant and nice, because they don't want to talk to you right away, most of them. And if they're super receptive to talk to you and you're not doing a great job, they're probably wasting your time anyway. A lot of times there's certain people out there that just want to chat because they don't have anything else going on and whatever. So what I would do normally, he started off kind of getting right into the point of the call, which I do agree with. When you call them and you say, "Hey, this is Justin with Bobby Rock." So have a little bit of I'm the sunshine of your day on the phone, because I'm brightening up your day with my tonality and conjecture. I know I preach those things, but hey, this is Justin with Bobby Rock Insurance. Just wanted to touch base with you. It looks like you were paying a little bit too much for your supplement. I think, and sometimes on like the telemarketed leads, you can even get the name of the company or the price or something, so you can use those into it. Use as much information as you have, but let's just say that we didn't have anything like that except that you're paying too much. Okay, so I said, looks like you were paying too much for your supplement. We're just giving you a call to see if you qualify for some of the new rates that are out there. And then you get that initial response, which is just as often a rebuttal as it is something pleasant. So there's different paths that portion can go down. Whether it's going to be a rebuttal or that. But like I was saying on the Medicare supplement lead side of things, and then any kind of Facebook or leads like that, I try to get past those initial objections, which we have all those objection videos on how to bypass them. The big portion of bypassing the initial objections is it doesn't necessarily matter exactly what you say, as long as you're say something to get past them and keep the conversation going. And I don't like to try to dive right into health and all that right away. You kind of fill the conversation out a little bit, but if they're talking to you, I just want to, talk to you. Hey, whatever info you have. Looks like you live in Ryan's. I grew up in Marietta. It's not too far from there. It looks like you grew up in, obviously no one can't say that. So say, looks like you're in Pontotoc. I was out there last week talking to a lady. Whatever it is, to try to get, a little bit of conversation going and just get them warmed up on the phone, because there comes a point where their anxiety guard goes down just a little bit, and you don't seem like a crooked, person trying to steal their identity or whatever. And then they begin to open up so you can get into the more technical questions without having them freak out on you. So, Rob,
Yes.
Let's see. I'm going to do an under 65 call with you.
Okay.
Okay?
For health?
For health insurance.
Okay.
All right. So, my name is John Stamos.
John Stamos.
So, because we look
Stamos.
alike, and I'm calling you to ask about health insurance, because I've decided I want to go self-employed, and now I'm losing my group coverage.
Okay.
Ring, ring. Hey, actually, I'm calling you, so you pick up the phone.
Bobby Rock Insurance, this is Rob.
Hey, Rob. My name is John. I'm calling because I'm exploring some health insurance options. I've been getting quotes from some different places, and I'm looking into having private health insurance, because I'm losing my group coverage, because I've decided to go into the into a self-employed status, and I really want to see what my options are in the marketplace. And so far, I've been less than thrilled with all the prices that I've heard and the options that are out there. So just hoping you guys knew of something that maybe these other groups on the internet didn't know about.
Sure. Well, thanks for calling in today, John. How's your day going so far?
It's going pretty good. I'm healthy with all the craziness that's going on. That's good. And the weather's nice and cool today compared to how it has been. How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing great, and I understand about all this craziness with all this COVID stuff out there, but we appreciate you calling in today, and I'd be more than happy to help you. Let me just ask a few questions so we can help point you in the right direction. But John, let me just ask this. First of all, is it easier for you to come into the office? Are you more of a guy that likes to see visually? Or is it okay if we just talk about some things over the phone and then maybe possibly explore coming in down the road?
Well, I'm just kind of at this point doing the research,
Okay.
and so I wanted to do it
Sure.
over the phone because I'm just a little bit anxious about getting something in place before my other coverage stops.
Gotcha.
And you know how it is when you're self-employed now.
Right.
I'm real busy. It's hard to find the time to get away.
Sure. So let me ask you this, John. What are you transitioning from? What occupation were you in?
I worked at the hospital
Okay.
in administration, and now I'm going to be doing the same thing, but in a private consulting
Okay.
fashion.
So a little bit of somewhat of a transition
Yes.
for you. Well, congratulations on your new venture. John, what I typically do with clients that I work with is I try to give them at least 3 main options that they can choose from, and I'm just going to give you a 30,000-foot view, and then if we want to dive a little bit deeper into those options, we can. When exactly are you going to be losing coverage and transitioning over to self-employment?
I will lose it at the end of August, believe it or not. So
Okay.
I'm up against a wall here.
Okay, and you may have said this already, but I just want to go back. Is this for you, a wife, some kids? Tell me how many people would be on this plan.
It's just for me. My wife and kids are covered under her school plan. She's
Okay.
a teacher.
Great. And another question I like to ask is there is an option out there that could be based on income, and sometimes that is the best situation for those that are transitioning to self-employment, at least for a period of time. And John, I don't ask this to get in your Kool-Aid or anything, but this just helps me point you in the right direction. What would the household income be this year? I know you're working up until the end of this month, but end of this month and then self-employment for the next 4 months, what would you say roundabout with your wife's income, total household income would be?
About 120,000.
Okay, so that allows me to eliminate that option there. Let me ask you this. You said you were pretty healthy, but I just like to ask a few questions. Anything with the heart or any kind of respiratory issues or cognitive issues, anything major?
No, right now I'm perfectly healthy, just taking a omeprazole for acid reflux.
Okay, for acid reflux.
And you
let me
said
ask,
you were going to eliminate an option. Which option was?
Sure. Well, I'm glad you asked that, John. Sometimes the Affordable Care Act is the best route for some of my clients to go with. But in this case, because it is based off of total household income, it would not be the best situation for you and your family.
Okay. And why is that exactly?
Well, it's because what happens is a lot of it is based off your income, and so they give you a subsidy, and because you would be losing coverage, you could possibly qualify for a special exception enrollment, but since you're healthy, some of my clients aren't when they're transitioning, so that sometimes is the best route for them.
Okay.
But in your case, since you're healthy, it doesn't seem like you have any medical conditions, there's 2 other options that I would like to discuss with you.
Okay.
One would be a short-term medical plan, and that just simply means that you can get a plan for up to 2 to 3 years, depending on which company that we go with, and they have a pretty affordable rates. And then the second option, and I'll come back to the short-term medical, is for some of our clients, especially if they're really healthy, it's best for them to what we call the affordable choice plan with a company called Manhattan Life. So it is a catastrophic or an indemnity plan, but the reason we like it here is because it also has some smaller services built into it as well, for like going to the doctor and a prescription drug plan. There's no deductibles and things like that. And so let me go back to the short-term medical, and I'm just going to take a little time to discuss that, and then we'll come back to the affordable choice in just a second. Let me ask.
So I'm gonna interject. I think you're doing a really good job in a lot of ways. There's just a couple of points.
Okay.
I think that I don't necessarily know that I would eliminate anything. I would just kind of use that information quickly and think, okay, this guy's not going to qualify for a subsidy, so I'll just get the base ACA quotes.
Okay.
So that he has an idea of what that costs.
Sure.
And let him rule it out based on price,
Mm-hmm.
which 99% of the time they will.
Yeah.
But that way you at least offered them that option. And then on the short-term medical and indemnity side, I would I wouldn't really dive into what each one it was right away until I kind of came up with, personally, a pricing structure for all three, kind of with everything that I would normally say. These are kind of the three options, and this is how they're priced.
Yeah.
And maybe even before I get to price or I get into the separate products, I would ask some feeler questions about what's most important to them. Is it most important that, are you okay with paying some bills up front? As long as you know that if the metaphorical, shit hit the fan, or you could come up with a better phrase than that.
No, I got you.
I've said that before to people that I knew. But, you say something like that. If heaven forbid the worst happened, do you want the catastrophic care and you're willing to pay on the front end? Do you want some help more on the front end? And you're, and for most catastrophic type of scenarios, you have good coverage. Or do you want everything covered and you don't care about the price?
Right.
So you kind of set some tones there. And then I kind of bring it back to another 30,000 foot overview scenario and say, just to explain something, sir, there is no plan where everything's covered in the under 65 market. There's always going to be some skin in the game. Now we can increase or reduce your skin in the game, and the price is going to do the opposite.
Sure.
The more skin in the game you have, the lower the price typically gets. The less skin in the game you have, the higher the price gets.
Sure.
So and that way I just kind of get an idea of what they want, and maybe bring it down to two options. But I always want to make one of those the ACA, so that they chose not to get the ACA. That way, if they didn't tell me about a pre-existing condition, then they chose the plan with pre-existing condition exclusions. But I think you did a really good job, for the most part in there.
And just so you guys will know, sometimes I don't do it in that order. Like, I generally try to pull the ACA up. Like, I'll come back later in my presentation and go, hey, I just wanted to show you what this plan would normally cost. Without a subsidy.
We actually have a form that when you're writing a non-ACA plan, everyone should be getting signed. I need to pull it back up and just have some copies of them to get people to sign them, or just have it on DocuSign.
Right.
Just because it says that they chose not to get it. Now, if they're doing the email signature on short-term medical, it does have disclosures in there that it's not an ACA plan, and they sign that, and so that's pretty good as well. If you're writing the affordable choice, they don't sign anything saying that because they're doing mother's maiden name signatures. So it's very good when you write an affordable choice plan. The affordable choice for me is not an option at this point. Used to, it was a great option because short-term medical plans were extremely limited. And I know there's people out there that will disagree with me, but now with a 3-year short-term medical option, for me it is definitely ACA first, short-term medical second, indemnity when the other two are just not going to meet their needs for some reason.
Right.
And normally that's price, because you do get into those people that somehow don't qualify for any kind of subsidy or enrollment period, but their price is very limited as to how much they can spend. And so, but they have desires for, day one coverage and no deductibles. It's a different type of person at this point that I write that on. Or it's in for people out there are states where the short-term medicals are not as good. But in Mississippi with 36 months short-term medical, I think anybody would have a hard time explaining in a court of law why the indemnity plan was a better option, other than to say that the short-term medical can abruptly expire. So what I like to tell people too, like say if I'm writing a 36-month short-term medical, that means it expires in 3 years, right? So if I'm writing it today, I like to tell them, hey, 2 years from now, 2.5, when you're getting close to the open enrollment period, you need to go ahead and mark in your calendar to explore your health insurance options between November 1st and December 15th again, because you don't want to wait until you get halfway in the middle of the next year and you have pre-existing conditions that don't allow you to extend into some other type of short-term medical or major medical coverage that is underwritten, because you may have a health condition, occur. Now, are they going to remember that? I don't know. Tell them to put it on their calendar. There is a little bit of personal responsibility involved, but I'm going to try to tell them to do that. You understand why I'm saying that? You don't want to write a 36-month short-term medical that expires June of 2023 and somebody had it just abruptly expire June of 2023 and they have cancer and they can't get anything else in the middle of the year. Now, if they shopped at the previous open enrollment and we re-up their short-term medical then, so we just cancel, oh, you got 6 months left on it, let's cancel it now and re-up you so that you're good, and this takes you 36 months into another open enrollment period.
That's if they haven't developed cancer yet.
That's if they haven't developed cancer. If they have developed cancer, if you're shopping in open enrollment, you can always default on the ACA plans. People keep asking me, are ACA going to go away? Well, I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, but, you know, they had a Republican-controlled House, a Republican-controlled Senate, and a Republican president, and they didn't get rid of it. So I think Obamacare is here to stay, at least the open enrollment concept for pre-existing conditions. Even if they gut some of the other stuff, the biggest problem you could have is if carriers quit participating in it. But it looks like right now carriers are starting to expand back into it. So I think they figured out that the premiums and the subsidies are so high, they're profitable even though they're having to eat expenses on pre-existing conditions. So anyway, that's my take on that. But I think it's really good to make sure you offer the ACA because, you know, there's a lot of call centers out there that don't do that and they get sued all the time. We need to make sure we're offering the, you know, best plan for the individual, you know, regardless of price. You know, some people, you get different types of people. The guy that I was just talking to you at that income level, you know, he's probably, if you tee it up correctly, he's probably more worried about catastrophic coverage. Most of my wealthier self-employed friends, they're worried about having something to pay for something down the road. They can afford $5,000, $10,000 out of pocket if they had to. They don't want to, but they don't think anything's going to happen, and they can afford it. So,
Great.
I wouldn't even, now, there's sometimes, you know, back in the day when it was Affordable Care Act versus 3x4 short-term medical, that's when you had to re-up the short-term medical every 3 months. Well, at that point, it was definitely better to have an indemnity plan option because you could get caught in a pre-existing condition period every year. But as long as you have at least a 12-month short-term medical period, especially a 36-month period, it's a much better option.
And the one thing that I figured out too when you're working with self-employed is I never counted out on the front end just because they're self-employed, because I run into it, like I had a lady, family of 5, self-employed, her husband, she was but the way their accountant does things with all their write-offs, they qualified for a family plan and there was 5 of them on the plan.
That's true.
So I never just don't think self-employed, they got tons of money, they're not going to qualify, because I wound up getting 4 or 5 apps on that family from that. So I'm a little bit more detailed on some of it.
Yeah, if you run into the good ACA opportunity, which I'm going to talk to you about that specifically, you and Johnny, but if you run into those opportunities, they can be great because they can get such a high subsidy that they're willing to spend a little more money on ancillary benefits, maybe even cross-sell life insurance and other things.
So can we go back to, can you do that eliminated? What do you mean by eliminated? And I'll go back and, like I'm going to call the ACA just real quick so you guys can hear it live.
While I'm on it and I remember it, I think there's one more point to make. When you're, and this is kind of off color, but I think everybody needs to hear it, and I forget to say it sometimes. That when a subsidy is calculated for an Obamacare premium, that is based off of current year income, and they use the adjusted gross income. So you're making an estimation on what your income would be. Sometimes people's estimations are wrong for some reasons. One of the most controllable reasons that their estimation ends up being wrong is taking a withdrawal from a pre-tax investment like a 401k. So I now, because I had it happen to a client, they took a $35,000 withdrawal off a 401k in the middle of the year and lost all their subsidy qualification. Now, we did talk about the fact that it was their adjusted gross income we went off of, and it is their due diligence to know that when they take that much money out of there, it affects their current year adjusted gross income. But now, because clients are not always real sharp on this stuff, most of the time they're not, you want to explain to them as part of that, as kind of a disclaimer, if you have any pre-tax investments, you don't want to be taking large withdrawals off of, really better off to take no withdrawals off of them while you're taking an Obamacare subsidy. Now when you go on Medicare, That's a different story. Then we just need to avoid the $175,000 or $80,000 income thresholds for IRMA penalties.
Yeah.
It's a whole other topic. But that's such a high threshold there, most people are fine. But you get people taking $35,000 off and they were claiming their income was going to be $35,000. Now their income is $70,000. And a lot of those people in that 63-year-old age group will lose all their subsidy when they do that. So it's just something to think about when you start calculating ACA premiums. So okay, we'll go back and explain something to me, Rob. What do you mean we eliminated an option? I'm still kind of leery on what the options are.
Sure. Well, Mr. John, I should have probably been a little bit more clear on that. So talking about the Affordable Care Act, it is based off our current gross household income this year. And so let me ask, what is your zip code, Mr. John?
38821.
Okay, I'm just going to put it in a little platform here, and it's going to spit out some numbers for us. And you are how old again?
56.
Okay, and do you do any form of tobacco whatsoever?
No.
Okay, 56. All right. So, in your income, I think you said was 120,000.
About 120,000.
About 120,000. So, Mr. John, when I put all of this criteria in there, the platform that we use spits out for us several different plans. And so, let me give you an example. The plan just for you. And let me ask you this: deductible-wise, what kind of deductible did you have on the work coverage?
So this is a really good question, because a lot of times whatever they were used to already is good to go off of. Now if they say 500, that's hard to compete with.
Sure.
But sometimes they'll say like 2,500 or 5,000. And you say, well, and then you can kind of look at your deductibles on short-term or Obamacare and kind of put it in that same range. Mm-hmm. And so I'll say it was 5,000.
Okay, $5,000 deductible. Well, the good news here, Mr. John, is if we look at the different plans here, they start really low deductibles, obviously are higher premiums, obviously. But even with the higher deductible plans that we have some ancillary products that we can put in there to help shield you just in case you were ever to go inpatient, okay? So let's just start at the 5,000. The 5,000, and let me ask you this, was it an 80-20 plan that you were on at work, 60-40, 70-30?
It paid 80% after the deductible, and then I paid 20. And I think there was a stop loss in there somewhere.
Okay, well, just to give you a little bit of insight into how these plans work, whenever we put the criteria in, the Affordable Care Act just gives us an X amount of plans. So we have no control on what the plans are, but we can look at the deductibles, and if they're 80-20, 50-50, 60-40. In this particular case, a 5,000 plan, 70-30 plan, without any subsidy because of the household income, you'd be looking about $900. Let me ask you this: what were you paying for your work coverage?
I was actually paying about $250 a month.
Okay, about $250 a month. So you can see here, without any form of subsidy, you're looking a little about 900, little 900 plus.
I track on that. Yeah. So, and I may be wrong on this, but the original what they called metallic levels of ACA were platinum, gold, silver, and bronze.
You're very welcome.
The platinum plan was 90-0, which there aren't a lot of.
Right.
So 90% co-insurance, 10%, where the patient paid 10% after the deductible was met.
It rings the hearse first.
And then they had what's called a MOOP, or maximum out of pocket. So if they have a $6,000 deductible and a $7,000 MOOP, they pay $6,000 out of pocket for big stuff until they hit that, and then they pay 10% of all their bills, but that 10% is capped at another $1,000. So if there's $7,000, is their MOOP. But if you go down to gold, which is maybe wrong on this.
It's not like this anymore, though.
Yeah, gold is 80-20. Silver is 70-30, and bronze is 60-40. So I don't think there's any 50-50 plans. Now there are on short-term medical, but there's 60-40 is the worst plan. Sometimes that's it doesn't really matter too much, because if you're looking at somebody who has a $6,000 deductible with a $7,000 MOOP, and they have a silver option like that or a bronze option.
Bronze.
So the bronze sometimes will be cheaper, and really the only difference is they have that $1,000 of extra potential out of pocket, and they'll pay 40% until they hit that, or they can pay 30% until they hit that. And so it's very small margin of difference there based on like potential scenarios. So I would go on a better price if that was my two options. So
I was going to add on that in my experience, my short experience, I like to go with that 60/40 bronze plan because a lot of times it's under $100 a month.
Mhm.
It makes it easy for me to cross sell the Manhattan Life Affordable Choice Plan.
that's true. If you can get a low premium on there, you can sell an affordable choice plan with it, and that's really robust
That's really good coverage, yeah.
All right, Rob, you go sell stuff.
All right. Actually, gotta go sell affordable care. Justin, I have a question. So you were saying like during the deductible, big things, go towards the deductible, but some little things are still going to be covered. Like,
Well, like say there can be a copay on one of those plans. And if there's a copay for certain services, like typically it's primary care physicians visits and specialist visits. So you just pay the copay, and it doesn't. You're not subject to the deductible on that service. Now that's a very unique code. It's them seeing you. When you go in and they charge you for lab work, that could go under the deductible because it's a different code for that.
just about everything else is.
Yeah, it's really just the primary care physician. Like if you went in and all they did was look at you and did the PCP check and say everything's good, you don't need lab work or anything, you just pay your copay. Now there are some ACA plans and short-term medical plans with no copay. So that means everything is subject to the deductible.
Okay.
I love selling that better because sometimes people that are looking for a copay don't understand that nothing else is covered under that copay. It's not like Medicare Advantage where there's a copay on every service. Medicare Advantage is unique in that way. There's nothing else like that. So I wish it was like that. But
well, I guess some of the PPOs, if you go out of network.
Yeah, you start getting into co-insurance options out there, out of network with Medicare Advantage. Or even like how you get on certain services and it turns into 80/20 coverage if you have cancer and you need chemotherapy. Even in network, normally you're paying 20% up to the maximum out of pocket.
Let's say you're out of network, Medicare Advantage PPO, and say their deductible is $1,500. Is it the same thing? Is it just like specialists and primary care physicians where the copay applies, and those other copays that they have listed are going to be 80/20 until you hit it?
So the way I understand on the Medicare Advantage side is if there's an out-of-network deductible, that's on everything, even the PCP and specialist copays. So if you go out-of-network for a PCP or specialist on a PPO, you have to pay the deductible even at those, and then none of the copays apply until the deductible's met.
Okay.
And then the copay applies.
Right.
Sometimes they even have additional cost sharing. Like there's some PPOs that'll say, we have these copays if you stay in the network. And again, we're talking about Medicare Advantage now. If you go out of network on some of those out there, they'll make you pay a percentage too. But most of them just have that deductible. But like an interesting one, the Aetna PPO that's here, and when it changes, one of the things is they're going to eliminate that out of network deductible. So there is no PPO out of network deductible. So some would say, well, what's the difference if you go in or out of network? Well, the difference is they raise the maximum out-of-pocket threshold. So instead of the $6,700 you're seeing now, if you go out of network, I think it goes to $10,000. So that's how that. But Medicare Advantage and Obamacare, it's funny because it's like they're similar in certain ways, but they're very different too. So that's why we do a lot of cross-selling with the ACA plans, because with ACA there are a lot of holes in there most of the time. Now sometimes you get somebody that falls into a great, what they call the so the subsidy is based on your federal poverty level for your age and household size. So if they put you at, if you're 50 and your wife's 48 and y'all have 3 kids living at home, where you can make more money and be considered at a higher federal poverty level percentage because of your household size than somebody that just has 2 in the house, because they're taking into account the fact that you have additional expenses because you're raising 3 kids too. So it's based on that tax equation there. But you have some people that, like, say you had your family of 5 like that, if they were making $45,000 or $50,000 a year with that household size, they qualify for super low Obamacare and even reduced out-of-pocket expenses. So I mean, we've had people that have come in that qualified for 0 premium, 0 deductible, with a $250 or $500 maximum out of pocket, and
crazy.
0 primary care copays, $5 specialist copay. Those are really good plans, but they have to be somebody that fits into that window. Well, when they're getting all that for that, they really don't need an affordable choice plan with that, because they have no out of pocket. They don't need, unless you sold the affordable choice on the premise of, well, if you lose this ACA status, we'll have this indemnity plan that's guaranteed renewable in place for later on. You could. I've had people that bought it based on that. But most of those people were worried about what happens if Obamacare doesn't exist, that kind of stuff. So I gave them that other continuation of coverage option. And they were already at 0, so you tack on another $250, you're already cheaper than what they thought it was going to be. But then, you normally want to sell them, dental and cancer is about, where they're at on that. You don't need to sell them, an out-of-pocket protector plan. They don't have any out-of-pocket. But most people are going to have at least, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 deductible. A lot of them are going to have a decent price, but they're going to have a $5,000, $6,000 deductible. When they have that much out of pocket, you can sell that Manhattan Life out-of-pocket protection plan, a Heartland Hospital indemnity plan with it. You can sell affordable choice. Whatever you want to help cover that deductible if they get hospitalized, if they have to have surgery, all these different things. And it creates a great cross-sell opportunity, and that's where agents make a lot of money selling Obamacare, is covering the out-of-pocket.
Do you have to renew Obamacare every year, or if they don't want to shop it or anything?
As long as the plan, they're going to get sent, just like how drug plans and Medicare Advantage plans send that annual notice of change, the ANOC, they're going to get assigned a new plan unless the carrier pulls out of the state. So they're going to automatically assign them a new plan, and if they don't do anything, it'll auto-enroll them in the next plan. Some people want to shop it and make sure, because they'll get that letter and they're like, I don't know if this is the right plan, and they want to come back, and then you can go in there and you can change the plan, but you don't have to do anything. So the hard part is if somebody calls in and they say, you signed me up for this Obamacare, I got this letter saying they're changing me to the Balanced Care 2 plan, and you need to go in and look at what, you got to pull their profile up in Health Sherpa or healthcare.gov or wherever, and see what that is, because you don't want them to have had a $500 deductible and they're moving them to a $2,500, and you just tell them, oh, you're fine, you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Because it could be a big difference. Whereas Medicare Advantage, typically there's not much of a difference. There's not enough on the out-of-pocket to really have to shop every single year, unless there's some kind of drastic change. And we normally know in advance when a certain particular plan has a drastic change. And you could isolate out those customers and reach out to them if you wanted to. Just like last year with Humana Walmart going from 20 whatever to $60 a month. That was a big deal on the Part B side. We just mailed everybody and told them and kind of left it up to them to reach out. But any more scenarios we want to go over this morning? I think we did. We talked a lot about under 65 health. And I know that's confusing, but
how does TRICARE work? Because there was a lady called yesterday and she has Medicare and TRICARE. She's got a letter.
She has Medicare and TRICARE, then she could explore Advantage options.
So that's what she got a letter about saying she could qualify for dental, vision, hearing, and gym benefits and extra benefits. And I was like, well, that's an Advantage plan. She said, well, I have TRICARE. What's the difference? And I was like,
I don't want to get
I kind of got that one.
Yeah, you answer that.
So TRICARE is like a super supplement where they pay 0. They still have to get Part B every time. It's called TRICARE for life.
Mm-hmm.
They still have to pick up Part B to get the TRICARE, and it's like a super supplement. It costs 0, and it covers all their medical expenses. Okay, it's like in Plan F. So obviously you're not going to sell them a supplement. The only things that you can really do for them, if you sell them an MA only Advantage plan, some of them have a Part B give back. So they're paying that $144. So if the Part B give back's $40, you can lower that to $100, and it might give them some extra things like the dental and vision. The nice thing about the MA only plans is that it doesn't touch the Part D, because the TRICARE drug coverage, you're not going to beat it.
Right.
So you don't want to mess with it. Now, just be careful if they're calling in and they got a piece of mail and they want an MAPD. So that drug coverage is going to be primary, and it's going to, if they have any expensive drugs, now they're paying, the MAPD rate, which is going to be higher than their TRICARE, and that's going to offset the $40 savings.
Now, if you put them on the MA only and they're getting the Part B give back and the extra benefits, that's the benefit. Does it disrupt where they can and can't go to the doctor?
From what I understand, I was only doing one of these in Vegas. It does not. So the MA plans are gonna be a PPO. So if they're going, I know in Vegas there was a base. I don't know if there's like a base around here, but they can keep on going there. It's not gonna disrupt that. They can obviously go inside the PPO network. Now, they can go outside the PPO network as well. And if the co-insurance is higher, since it's designed for TRICARE, in network it might be 80-20 like original, so that's no problem. But outside, say it's 60-40 in the PPO network, TRICARE will pick up the extra 40%. So it's just about them educating the doctor. It's kind of like lasso, where the doctor's like, I haven't seen this. It might be a situation like that if they go out of network.
Yeah.
But ultimately,
because it's going to be a rare scenario. So when you put somebody, like we wrote a lot of lasso, and doctors were like, "What is this?" But normally you could explain it to them. And I actually had to sit down with a billing person at a big clinic here on the phone and tell her, like, the reason some of your patients are on this lasso plan is because here was their situation. They had Humana, Medicare Advantage. All of the doctors and hospitals quit taking it. We tried to get them a supplement. We couldn't get them a supplement, but they still wanted something with a maximum out of pocket. And this is how lasso works, and this was their only option to give them that. And all of a sudden it clicked. She understood like why they did it. But up until then, she was telling everybody, "What did you get on this thing for? This thing sucks." But they don't know what they're talking about. All they know about is how does this work with billing? And how does this affect me when I'm trying to file the bills?
So I will say this: I put like 6 or 7 people on the MA only plan with TRICARE last year and haven't had any issues. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great niche, to talk about. You just want to explain it. I want to dive into the legal definition or language on the network aspect of it, how it's supposed to work. Because I know the MA plan becomes primary and TRICARE is still coming in as secondary to it. But if it's going to pick up the difference, and I guess if it's a PPO, it's fine because you got a network and TRICARE just picks up the difference. Mm-hmm. If that's the way it works, that's pretty awesome.
I dug into it pretty good.
Now, if it was and I don't know that there's many of these, but an MA only, meaning no drug coverage in the Medicare Advantage plan, designed for veterans that way, and it's an HMO. I don't know if there's a lot of those out there.
I think they're all PPO.
Yeah, I don't think
everyone I've seen is a PPO.
Yeah.
I just hate, if there was an HMO like that could be a problem. I can see. So maybe that's why they make it
comes from the government, right?
It's normal. TRICARE for military retirement.
If you said
It
like
goes
20
through
years.
peers.
Well,
It goes through peers.
well, it doesn't. None of that. It's just for retired veterans. So if they have to have, it's not just a veteran. They have to have been retired or the spouse of the retiree, and they could, typically it's a full retirement situation.
Years.
So if somebody says,
years.
"Oh,
Years.
I've got TRICARE, I don't need none of that," what would your
Say, oh yeah, we have a lot of customers with TRICARE. There actually are some plans that could save you money on your Part B deductible or Part B premium, and some of these plans could also help you get some of these additional benefits you hear people talking about, and don't cost you anything. I love to. That's just the segue, and then just show them to them. They may just not be honestly, the only one that's been around here in the past was with a company that had a negative stigma because the hospital wouldn't take it here, which is Humana in this area, which there's nothing against Humana in other areas, they do fine, but here there was a negative stigma. But now, there's going to be one with Aetna, or is it United Healthcare has one here, and it's a PPO. It's called the Honor PPO, I think.
That's Humana. Humana uses Honor, but
It's
all
it's Eagle, right?
It's something patriotic.
Yeah.
Patriot plan.
Patriot plan, and that plan has a $40 Part B gift back.
It's $40, I think.
So it basically would, that Part B premium they're paying for Medicare, the $144.60,
Save money on that.
it's going to give them $40 back. Plus,
He's
it's going to
talked
give them
about
some of
that
that
before.
dental and vision. So it's an opportunity, and that's also an opportunity. So even a bigger opportunity for the people that have VA only. Sometimes people will tell you, "I have the VA. I don't need any health coverage," which that's kind of stupid.
Really
Because every time they get into a situation where they have an emergency, they're coming in here freaking out because the VA is not paying the emergency room bill. We even had a customer whose husband they thought was having a stroke, so they took him to the VA clinic because he had VA privileges. Is that where you want to go when you're having a stroke? The VA clinic?
No.
I can promise you, you do not want to go there when you're having a stroke. So they need coverage for real stuff, not just, hey doc, give me my meds. You know, that's not all what healthcare is. You know, healthcare sometimes is you're about to die, do you want to not die? And so those people need access to, you know, the real hospitals. And so Medicare Advantage plans or even Medicare supplements are good for people with VA privileges.
I always think about the commercial where they're, I don't know if it was a commercial or a skit or something, where there's doctors and they're like sitting in a break room, and then like the patient comes in or they wheel him in and it's like, what's his insurance? They're like, okay, we gotta work.
Yeah.
If they don't have an insurance, like, you got insurance.
Yeah, well, one thing to touch on the VA, you know, say they're a few years past 65, if they have VA, the coverage for Part B is incredible. So they're looking at that penalty. You want to make sure to educate them. However, the Part D is credible, so they're not going to get a penalty on D, but they will on B.
Right. Yeah, so what we see a lot of in this area is people that'll get their Part A and Part B activated, and then they'll just not get anything else and just have
that would be
DA. But the problem with that is, again, once they get sick, they can't pick up a supplement. And even if they get sick in the middle of the year, they have to wait until the fall if they're not low-income subsidy eligible to get a Medicare Advantage plan. So, you know, you'd want them to have one of those. You know, previously in this area, we've sold a lot of Plan N to them, which is a lower cost supplement. Now with some of these, you know, not honor plan, but the MA only plans that are available with good networks adequacy here, those are a great option for those guys. That or the supplement, you know, it gives them, you know, catastrophic limited coverage outside of the VA. And now the VA will tell you they're going to pay for stuff. The problem is seeing it through and making it happen. You know, it's not as easy as when you go in with a Medicare Advantage plan or a Medicare supplement. The billing is much more simple than when you're trying to get the VA to come over and pay the rest of it. So
Yeah.
let's do something with Stark role playing. I know we're doing a long dig, but let's see. Let's see the what are we gonna do? So Stark. Terrell Owens is retiring.
Okay.
He's 33. Just kidding. Let's see. Terrell Owens is calling you, and he's been seeing these. He's new to Medicare. Let's just do new Medicare with you. Okay. So you just pick up the phone like he called you.
Okay. This is Justin with Bobby Brock Insurance. How can I help you?
Hey Justin, my name is Terrell, and I'm calling because I'm turning 65, and I've been told I need to give you guys a call. My sister-in-law used your office, and I need help, you know, getting my Medicare set up.
Yeah, you called the right place, that's for sure. Who's your sister-in-law?
Sheila Owens.
Oh, Miss Sheila. Yeah, she's one of our clients. She seems to be very satisfied. Actually, I talked to her the other day. Now, where'd you say you were from?
She's not one of y'all's clients. She just told me to call you. I'm just kidding.
I didn't have that info.
I'm just messing with you. So no, I'm calling from Aberdeen.
Aberdeen?
Yes.
All right. You ever been to Pontotoc before?
Nope.
No. Well, I encourage you to. Do you like peaches and peas and all that stuff?
Man, I'm just calling about my Medicare. Right?
Well, that's fine. We can go ahead and talk about that. So you're new to Medicare. Let me ask you this: have you already retired?
Yes.
Okay, how long have you been retired?
About 6 years.
About 6 years. So, have you spoken with the Medicare division? Like, have you gotten that red, white, and blue card you see on TV yet?
Yeah, I already got one. It's got the A and B on it.
Okay, so you do have the Part B activated.
Yes.
All right. So now that I know that you've activated your Part B, that lets me know that you're in your open enrollment period. That's just fancy jargon, meaning that we can get you a Medicare supplement or Medicare Advantage plan, depending on which route you want to take. So how much research have you done?
This is it.
This is it, huh? All right. So just let me give you the overhead view, bird's eye view. So Medicare Advantage costs less per month, but you may have a few different types of out-of-pocket stuff when you go to the doctor. It's structured a little bit different than standard or original Medicare, which is your A and B with a supplement on it.
I'm so confused.
Yeah, I figured. So what could we do to get you in the office? Is that possible for you?
I was hoping I'd do it over the phone. I've had 2 people in my family get COVID, and I just don't want to, I'm not trying to go out and go places where a whole bunch of old people are coming in, spreading it around.
Well, I can understand that. So let me ask you a different question then. Have you ever had group coverage before? Like, have you ever had medical insurance in general?
Yes.
Okay, when you had that, how did that plan work? Did you pay a $20 bill when you went to the doctor? Did you do any of that? Like a copay?
No.
You ever heard that word?
I'm confused. I've lost interest. I've lost interest.
Bye. I'll talk to you later.
All right.